I found this on Facebook Marketplace for $60 and asked Kevin to pick it up for me. Had I been there, I probably would have walked away from this piece. It has so many problems. Chunks of missing veneer, deep scratches. It's just so banged up. The drawers were rubbing right there, which would mean if I painted it, I'd be scraping off paint. That would have to be fixed. The top had two areas where something had completely eaten through the finish. And even the corner of it, you're going to see it for a split second in a moment, had some black spots on it right there. I was not able to remedy that. Now, the piece had good construction, but it's, as you can see, incredibly dirty. Now, this was a nice surprise. I've seen this once before, but why are these dividers always in one of the lower drawers? And what are they officially for? If you know, please leave me a comment to let me know. The hardware was beautiful, but only one of them existed. I had that to remedy too. There's a lot to do. Let's get started. The first thing I always do is remove whatever hardware is there because you want to clean the piece, including the areas underneath that hardware. These pieces are super dirty. I am going to get some hot water and Dawn dish detergent and give it a good scrubbing, rinse it with water, and then after that, I'll be ready to proceed. Now, the reason I'm rinsing it is that you even need to remove any soapy residue so that it won't interfere with the adhesion of the paint down the road. So dirty, guys. Ugh. What I glued is secure, and what I really wanted to do is my old trick of removing this and then turning it around so that the back end is facing front, but it's stuck. I'm gonna have to let this go like this. It doesn't impact the function of the drawer. I'm just gonna let it go. There are a lot of things about this piece I'm gonna have to let go. This is a chunk that I need to fill in. It was painted over, so I'm sanding that because I don't know if I'd get a good enough bond with the Qwik Wood against the slick surface. And with Qwik Wood, because it's moldable like putty, you have, if it didn't stick to you, you have the ability to reshape that area. Moments later, when it dried, I used my sander to sand it smooth and to reshape the edge that was there originally. Now that all the sanding is finished on all those repairs, I'm going to go ahead and sand the whole piece. I'm not sanding down to raw wood. I'm simply sanding to smooth things out. I started with 150 grit on my SurfPrep. I'm having issues with it, so I'm gonna get some replacement parts. And in the meantime, this came just now from Amazon. It's Velcro, and you just attach your Velcro round sand pad to it. I only have this in 220, so that's what I'm gonna use. But I am gonna go ahead and finish sanding, and I'm using my ShopVac, hoping it eliminates some of the dust from getting into my space here in the basement. I like to save my pads that I can no longer use on my SurfPrep. If they still have some life in them, I save them because then I could do some hand sanding. You see how this is very close So it's here and here and here, where there's really not enough room, and maybe down there. There's not enough room that if I were to paint the side of the dresser and the side of the drawer, it's going to rub and that paint's going to wear off. So what I'm going to do before I prime is sand these sides so that all of the drawers have a gap so that there's no rubbing of the new paint I'm going to put on. I have spent the last week and many hours laboring over what to do about the hardware for this piece. I loved the shape of the hardware that this came with, but it was missing all but one of them. I've gone online, I've tried every single company that sells hardware, couldn't find it. Certainly not in my price range. But then I came across a picture of an antique dresser where they had put these beautiful decorative knobs on the top and then long bar handles on the bottom. Now I know that won't resonate with the history of this dresser, but I ordered them, so one way or the other, it's gonna end up with hardware. I just don't know which one yet. But that being said, I know I need to plug the holes of the bottom 3 drawers. I'm going to do that with some Qwik Wood. And then there are some other areas that I need to patch up. I'm going to do that. Before the day is done, I will then sand those repairs. My square knobs came in and I like them. I like the size and shape and color of them, but it definitely doesn't look right where it's placed. I'm wondering if the original hardware, because I didn't have the original on the top, was perhaps maybe a drop that filled this area better. I don't know. What I'm gonna do is fill the existing hardware holes here and bring the hole down so that this is centered in this area. Got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
There are plenty of areas that I had to fill with Bondo or some other wood filler, or areas that I had to sand down to raw wood to smooth something out. So I'm going to spray all those areas with BullsEye Shellac so that when I go to paint, I should have a uniform surface. I knew I wanted to prime this with a black primer, and at the time that I was doing this project, which was early summer, this was all I could find. Did it work? Yes. But what I didn't like was that it didn't fill in any of the wood grain from the top that was revealed when I had sanded. I ended up mixing up some water putty and filling it in off camera and sanding it smooth and then applying another coat of primer. I'm using my Earlex 5500. Nowadays it's 5700, but essentially they're the same sprayers. I'm using some Valspar Cabinet and Furniture paint in a custom color. It's equal parts Sherwin-Williams Caviar and denim cloth. It's a beautiful dark blue. Spraying on paint, and especially top coat, guys, is a dream with a sprayer. And if you can afford one, it really does make quick work. And it gives such a beautiful, smooth factory finish. Now, is that missing spot bothering you? It really bothers me too watching this, but look, look, look. Ah, I got it. For the first coat of paint, I painted the drawers outside of the dresser because that way I was able to spray the sides of them as I'm doing here. For the second coat, I did put them back in the dresser, which was so much easier. But at least this way I was able to spray the sides without having to go back with an artist brush. This piece is so pretty. That dark blue is absolutely glorious. It is time to add a top coat. Now the sprayer has not been completely cleaned out of the dark blue paint, and that's intentional. I'm going to filter some poly into the sprayer, and that way it will be tinted. When you're putting a top coat on top of a dark painted piece, it's always best to tint it to prevent any streakiness or haziness. Now I will add that Valspar Cabinet and Furniture paint does not require a top coat. However, it's been my experience that if I don't put a top coat on top of a dark color, even within this paint line, I leave what looks like dusty fingerprints every time I touch the surface. So we're going to go ahead and put on a good coat. I might even just put on one. Now the dresser really did turn out beautiful. There were so many repairs to be made. Some of them I even did off camera. But in the end, it was worth it. It ended up being a beautiful piece. Now, would I have attempted to restore it by replacing veneer and then staining it? No, that's just not what I do. But by filling in those nicks and painting it, I ended up being able to bring it back to life. And I ended up selling it very quickly for $3.75. So let's look back at the original pictures and then what it looks like today.